Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you something. What happens when you no longer have the energy to conquer the world? When the hustle and grind of youth start to fade and the noise of the external world grows louder, more suffocating as you grow older? What then? In old age, we face a critical juncture. The years have shaped us, sometimes like a chisel to a block of stone, sometimes like a hammer to glass. And as we age, we find that the external world demands more and more from us. It never seems to quiet down. But here's the secret. The greatest gift you can give yourself in your later years is to focus on yourself and stay silent. Silence is one of the most underrated yet powerful tools available, especially as we age. Throughout life, we are conditioned to speak up, to express our opinions, to be heard. The modern world amplifies this need, pushing us to share our thoughts at all times, whether in conversations, social media, or debates. But as we grow older, we must recognize that not all words need to be spoken, and not all battles need to be fought. Silence, when used wisely, becomes a form of strength rather than weakness. In youth, speaking is often a way to establish identity, to assert dominance, or to prove intelligence. However, as experience accumulates, we realize that true wisdom does not come from constant speech, but from understanding when to remain silent. A person who knows how to hold their tongue and listen carefully wields a power that is rarely understood by those who always feel the need to speak. With age, the ability to remain silent allows us to observe more, to understand more deeply, and to avoid unnecessary conflicts. Many people argue not to seek truth, but to dominate or impose their own views. Engaging in such conversations often leads nowhere and drains valuable energy. A person who chooses silence in the right moments avoids pointless disputes and cultivates an inner peace that is rare in today's hyperactive, reactive society. Moreover, silence strengthens personal boundaries. When you stop explaining yourself to those who don't deserve an explanation, you reclaim your time and energy. People who are truly wise do not need to prove their wisdom to others. They do not feel the need to correct every misconception or respond to every slight. They understand that silence itself is often the loudest response. There is also a profound internal transformation that happens when we embrace silence. In solitude and stillness, the mind settles and clarity emerges. Many of life's greatest realizations come not in moments of external noise, but in moments of quiet reflection. Instead of seeking validation from others, the wise person seeks understanding from within. To choose silence is to choose control over one's life. It is a discipline that allows space for wisdom, patience, and emotional strength. In the end, those who master silence are not only more at peace with themselves, but are also perceived as stronger by the world around them. As people age, the need to focus on oneself becomes increasingly important. Throughout life, much of our energy is spent on external pursuits, building a career, maintaining relationships, raising a family, and meeting societal expectations. While these efforts are valuable, they often leave little room for personal introspection and self-care. In old age, the time finally arrives to turn inward, to shift the focus away from the external world and toward personal well-being, inner peace, and self-discovery. Many people struggle with this transition because they have been conditioned to always put others first. They have spent decades being responsible for the needs, expectations, and judgments of those around them, but there comes a moment when one must realize that focusing on oneself is not selfish, it is necessary. If a person does not prioritize their own health, happiness, and mental clarity, they risk spending their later years in exhaustion, regret, or bitterness. Instead, old age should be a time of personal renewal, where the focus shifts from fulfilling obligations to nurturing the soul. Focusing on oneself also means letting go of unnecessary burdens. Many older individuals carry the weight of past mistakes, unresolved conflicts, or unfulfilled dreams. But dwelling on these things only drains energy and prevents a person from fully experiencing the present. The later years of life are an opportunity to release what no longer serves a purpose and to embrace a mindset of acceptance. Instead of being consumed by what could have been, it is far more valuable to appreciate what is and to cultivate gratitude for the life that has been lived. Another crucial aspect of focusing on oneself is setting boundaries. Not every demand from others needs to be met, and not every problem needs to be solved. There is no obligation to continue being the caretaker of everyone else's emotions. It is perfectly reasonable to say no, to withdraw from toxic relationships, and to prioritize personal peace over social expectations. The ability to protect one's time and energy is essential in old age because it ensures that the years ahead are lived with intention and fulfillment rather than exhaustion and frustration. True wisdom lies in understanding that self-care is not a luxury but a necessity. The time to focus on oneself is now, not later. The world will always have its demands, but old age is a gift that should be spent nurturing the most important relationship of all, the one with oneself. As people move through life, much of their energy is spent striving for success, for recognition, for approval. Society conditions individuals to believe that their worth is tied to achievement, status, and external validation. The early years are often a relentless pursuit of proving oneself, whether in career, relationships, or social circles. However, as one ages, a profound realization emerges. The endless chase for external success does not bring lasting fulfillment. At a certain point, it becomes clear that the most valuable thing a person can do is let go of the constant striving and embrace a deeper sense of contentment. Old age offers a unique opportunity to step away from the pressures of external validation. There is no longer a need to compete, to impress, or to prove anything to anyone. The opinions of others, which may have once dictated decisions and actions, become far less important. A person who has lived through decades of experience understands that external achievements are fleeting. What truly matters is internal peace. This is the stage in life where one can finally stop performing for the world and start living for oneself. Letting go of external striving also means freeing oneself from the burden of unrealistic expectations. Many people hold on to a sense of urgency, feeling that they must continue achieving in order to remain relevant or valuable. But relevance is not determined by societal measures of success. It is determined by how aligned a person is with their own values and desires. There is great freedom in releasing the pressure to constantly do more, and instead embracing the ability to simply be. This shift in perspective does not mean giving up on growth or self-improvement. Rather, it means redefining what fulfillment looks like. Instead of chasing external accomplishments, fulfillment in old age comes from self-acceptance, meaningful connections, and the ability to appreciate life as it is. It is about recognizing that one's value does not come from achievements, but from the wisdom and authenticity gained over the years. A person who can release the need to prove themselves to the world steps into a new kind of strength. One that is quiet, self-assured, and deeply rooted in inner peace. The later years of life should not be spent in an endless race for more, but in a state of appreciation for what has already been gained. In the end, true success is not about how much one has accomplished, but about how much one has learned to be at peace with oneself. With age comes experience, and with experience comes wisdom, if one takes the time to reflect. Life is not simply a series of events that happen randomly. It is a journey filled with lessons, insights, and moments of growth. However, these lessons can only be truly understood when a person takes the time to pause, look inward, and process what they have lived through. The later years of life present an opportunity for this kind of deep reflection, where the wisdom accumulated over decades can finally be appreciated and applied. One of the greatest mistakes people make is rushing through life without ever stopping to absorb the lessons it offers. In youth, there is a tendency to react quickly, to make impulsive decisions, and to move from one experience to the next without considering the deeper meaning behind them. But as time passes, a shift occurs. The fast-pacing nature of youth gives way to a slower, more thoughtful approach. This is where the real transformation begins. When a person no longer just experiences life but starts to understand it, reflection allows for a greater sense of clarity. When a person takes the time to think about their past choices, successes, and failures, they begin to see patterns. They recognize what has truly mattered in their journey and what was simply noise. This process helps in making peace with past mistakes rather than being haunted by them. Every regret, every wrong turn, and every missed opportunity carries a lesson. And when these lessons are embraced, they become a source of strength rather than pain. There is also great power in understanding one's own evolution. The person you were at 20 is not the person you are at 60 or 70. Values shift, priorities change, and perspectives deepen. By reflecting on this transformation, a person gains a greater appreciation for their own growth. Instead of mourning lost youth or opportunities, there is an ability to honor the journey and recognize the wisdom that comes only with age. This period of reflection should not be seen as indulgence, but as a necessity. Without taking the time to look inward, a person risks carrying unresolved burdens into old age, leading to unnecessary resentment or regret. However, when self-reflection is embraced, it brings a sense of inner peace, acceptance, and a newfound appreciation for life. The true gift of aging is not just in the years lived, but in the wisdom gained from truly understanding them. As people grow older, they come to understand that not every battle is worth fighting. In youth, there is often a strong urge to prove oneself, to argue, to correct others, and to engage in every conflict that arises. Whether it is defending opinions, responding to criticism, or trying to change someone's mind, the younger years are often spent in an exhausting cycle of engagement. But with age comes the realization that many of these battles are unnecessary, and that choosing when to engage and when to remain silent is one of the greatest signs of wisdom. Not every disagreement needs a response, and not every insult needs to be met with retaliation. There will always be people who misunderstand, criticize, or provoke. Engaging in every argument only drains energy and peace of mind. Over time, one realizes that some people are not interested in truth, but in conflict. And some debates are not about seeking understanding, but about seeking dominance. Walking away from unnecessary disputes does not mean weakness. It means having the strength to prioritize inner peace over external noise. Old age provides the advantage of perspective. The things that once seemed urgent, proving a point, correcting others, defending every decision, no longer hold the same importance. What truly matters is preserving mental and emotional well-being. There is a profound freedom in realizing that opinions of others do not define one's worth. Whether it is criticism from strangers or disagreements with family, not every issue deserves attention. Sometimes the most powerful response is silence. This does not mean ignoring all conflicts or avoiding difficult conversations. There are times when standing up for oneself or speaking truth is necessary. But wisdom lies in knowing which battles are truly worth fighting and which are simply distractions. Many arguments, especially as people age, are fueled by ego rather than necessity. The ability to let go, to step back, and to conserve energy for what truly matters is a skill that brings both peace and power. As years pass, the focus should shift from trying to change others to maintaining personal peace. The greatest battles are often internal. The battle for self-acceptance, for letting go of the past, and for living without regret. By choosing not to engage in every external fight, one creates space for a more meaningful, fulfilling life. In the end, wisdom is not about winning arguments, but about knowing which ones are not worth having in the first place. As life progresses, a person begins to realize that the ultimate goal is not wealth, status, or recognition. It is inner peace. In youth, there is often a belief that fulfillment comes from external achievements, from the approval of others, and from accumulating more. People chase career success, social validation, and material possessions, believing that these things will bring lasting happiness. But as the years pass, it becomes clear that these external pursuits are temporary and often leave a person feeling empty once they are no longer attainable. True fulfillment comes not from what is gained externally, but from what is cultivated internally. Old age provides the opportunity to shift focus from chasing to appreciating. The constant striving that defines the younger years is no longer necessary. There is no longer a need to prove oneself, no need to seek validation, no need to meet unrealistic expectations. Instead, the later years of life should be dedicated to embracing what is, rather than longing for what could have been. Inner peace is found when a person learns to live in the present moment without the weight of regrets from the past or anxieties about the future. Letting go of past disappointments is essential. Many people carry unresolved pain, whether from failed relationships, missed opportunities, or personal mistakes. However, dwelling on these things only robs the present of its joy. Acceptance does not mean ignoring the past, but learning from it and choosing not to let it define the future. There is great wisdom in understanding that peace does not come from changing what has already happened, but from changing how one responds to it. Another important aspect of inner peace is knowing when to detach from unnecessary stress. People often feel obligated to remain involved in every family issue, every social expectation, and every external demand. But there comes a time when personal well-being must take priority. Setting boundaries, stepping away from negativity, and choosing to focus on what brings true joy are all necessary steps toward inner peace. Aging should not be seen as a decline, but as a transition into a more meaningful way of living. It is a time to find joy in simplicity, in small moments of gratitude, and in the realization that nothing external can bring lasting peace. That peace can only come from within. The greatest success in life is not measured by what is accumulated, but by how much a person has learned to be at peace with themselves.